Okay, today I'm going to be going over a couple Ed Puzzle videos that I've created for students to be able to watch the video and still interact with it as they go through. This first one has to do with how animals can help the environment around them.
These seasonal rainfall environments are the environments from which millions and millions of large herbivores and their pack-hunting predators came. And they, over the millennia, maintained the soil because annually billions of tons of vegetation grow and die every single year. And they have to be trampled, cycled, digested, biologically broken down. Otherwise, desertification occurs, as you saw in the earlier picture.
This cycle of life between the plants and the animals and their environment is what really keeps the entire habitat going.
Now, in the 1960s, when I began to realize that only livestock now could save humanity.
Okay, so the first question pops up, and the students are being asked, how can livestock save humanity? So basically they're kind of making an inference here towards the beginning of the video on what we're talking about with how the livestock is actually going to be helping the environment around it. So here they have three options in this multiple choice question. So you can choose the correct answer here, which is that they help with the cycle of life and keeping the environment nourished. You submit that, see that it was the correct answer, and then hit continue.
That was counterintuitive, went against every belief we have, and I was faced with a dilemma. We'd had 15,000 years of herding, and it had caused the great deserts of the world. We'd had 100 years of modern science, grazing systems, rotations, and that had accelerated desertification, even in the United States.
Think back to what we have learned recently and what you know about deserts. These areas are very dry and there is very minimal rainfall, and therefore it leads to a lot less vegetation, and you have to have animals and plants that can go without a lot of water.
So what were we to do?
So here's the next question. It's more of an open-ended question, asking the students to name a plant or animal that may be found in the desert areas. So I might say cactus. And then I can submit this, and then as the teacher, I'll be able to see that answer on my end. Continue.
We somehow had to deal with the complexity, social, plants, erratic weather, wildlife, all of this stuff. So I just simply turned to the profession that had dealt most with that sort of complexity, the military. And I took 300 years of European experience and their immediate battlefield planning procedures that they developed and adapted it to a biological situation. That has worked for 40 years without fail. It is now being practiced on over 40 million acres on 4 continents, right? And these pictures are examples of desertification being reversed with greatly increased livestock, mimicking nature through that planning process. And the circle is to show you the exact same spot because the change is so profound when we do this.
So this last question here is just asking the students a pretty broad question about what the whole point of this video is talking about in this TED Talk. And so they want to know and understand that the goal was not to make the land more desert-like, but instead to reverse that. So they would say that this statement here is false and submit that.
Think about the different types of animals that they might have put into these different habitats that you are seeing here in the pictures, and how those animals might have helped to the ground and the entire area around that environment.
Alright, so then the next video is going to be one from National Geographic that has my voiceover on it, and then also a few questions as well.
Today, we are going to learn about the Arctic. Gleaming white, the Arctic Ocean is surrounded by and covered in snow and ice. The white expanse seems to go on and on forever. There are hundreds of different animals that survive both on the land and deep within the Arctic oceans, despite the very harsh climate. Wildlife such as seals, polar bears, and the white beluga whales thrive in this environment.
So the first question here for the children is the Arctic a good place for polar bears to live? So in this case, they just heard about the fact that even though the weather is harsh, it's still a great place for them to live, so they would click yes and submit. Continue.
Narwhals are considered the unicorns of the sea. Many whales also live throughout the Arctic Ocean. The deep ocean waters are extremely cold and dark, and much of the Arctic Ocean has never even been explored before. There is so much diversity.
So here their next question is about which one is true of the Arctic, which they have learned so far. So the first answer, the ocean water is warm. Well, we know it's not warm. We've been talking about it being cold. Lots of animals live deep in the ocean. No animals can live in the water. And lots of plants grow on the surface of the ice and snow. So from this video so far, they can know that there are lots of animals that live deep within the ocean.
In the life of the Arctic, both on and under the icy surface. Although there is not much plant life, there is sure an abundance of animals that live here.
Then the final question here is for them to name one animal that they saw besides a polar bear. So they could say, by the end of the animals, the whale. Here I'll just go and put the seal, and we can submit that. Once again, the teacher will be able to see that on the other end. And that's the end of the video.